Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today I'm just doing a comparison of these two Canon, these are Canon based cages. Now one is specifically for the 6D Mark 1 and 2, that is the NiceyRig, and the Topcine is for, if I'm not mistaken, the 5D models, all of the 6D models, and I believe, I'm gonna have the link in the description for both of these. I believe it also counts for the XXD bodies, like say the 40D, 50D, 60D. I'm not 100% sure. It will say it in the link, because off the top of my head, I can't remember, but link in the description is gonna show it on the detailed description of the page on Amazon. Both of these were purchased at Amazon, and they're roughly about the same price. This is on sale at the time of this video, but generally speaking, they're roughly about the same price, which is about $50, give or take. Now, I have a couple of extra accessories on the side here that I'm going to actually utilize on both of these, just to kind of show how like the connecting works and how much space and how much room you have to work with, because they both are a completely different form factor in terms of what you have to work with in terms of space. This is a little bit wider. You can see it really more accommodates for, it's more of a general purpose because it's wider, but it really a lot more accommodates, say something like a 5D Mark II series. I'm sorry, a 5D series. I recently bought a 5D Mark II series, but a 5D series in terms of how wide it is and whatnot. And this right here really accommodates the 6D. It's a little more smaller, but more streamlined for that purpose. And I have I have two review videos for both of these, individual reviews, where I have an updated video review on this, speaking about how this wasn't as well geared towards the 60 Mark II. So 3 videos in total in which I spoke about this one and then later on bought that one. Now, we're gonna get into that too in this comparison video. Now, even though I don't have in that video this one mounted with a 5D or any of those type of bodies, because at the time when I did it, I didn't have those bodies. I can do a later video if you guys really want to see it, but in the meantime, I'm not gonna do that right now. But in those past videos of review, you see the 6D Mark II mounted in this one and in that one in their own review videos, so you can get a sense of what the pros and the cons are for both that I'm going to be speaking of in this video, but you'll see it in real time in those. So jumping into the Topcine first, actually. So for all the other type of cameras, like the 5D series, we'll just say I use that as my reference because those don't have an articulating screen. This works. It's wider, so it fits the framing very good without a problem. And clearly this is designed for those types. And the thing about it too is, as I mentioned, the review video of this, of this cage, that it's really hard to find cages for these older models now. So it's kind of one of the only options you're gonna have available. But this is obviously, the two are completely, I'll say this right off the back, and I know I've already mentioned this before, that, you know, this is more for one line, this is more for another line. So really what it comes down to is this, and then I'm gonna kind of dive into the differences between the two, but just simply say, if you have something like a 50D, I'm gonna go back as far back as, say, the truth is rigs, for the most part, except, you know, you could do some photography where you have the light on it. So for photography, right, these aren't really used like that because you'll just throw a light on your hot shoe mount of your camera. But just kind of getting things out of the way, let's assume that you are doing, if you're doing photography, you can go back as like, say, the 20D, 30D, 40D, 50D. But the truth is, starting just at the point of video, because that's what these things are primarily for, to be honest with you, this right here, even though it fits the body shape, it'll say it fits the body shape. And I don't know, there might be other ones out there specifying for some of the models I'm going to mention. But I know this is for the 60 Mark I, 60 Mark II. And this is supposed to be for all the 5D series, all the 6D series, and the XXD series. Which would include things like the 60D, for example. The 60D, the 70D, 80D, 90D is where they stopped. Those all have articulating screens. The 60D is where it started with that. So even though this can fit those, you run into the same problem you do with the 6D Mark II, when it comes to this. So I would say that this is not as good for that. Now, I don't think those ones fit this body type. I mean, those body types fit this cage of the NiceyRig. So I'm not going to suggest that. Maybe there are other NiceyRigs out there for those models, and you can search for those. But with this one here, though, it's really going to be specified for the 7D, 7D Mark II, the 5D Mark II, where you start doing video. You can do it for the Mark I, but like I said, it's really for video. I wouldn't say you would necessarily need to mount your lights on this for photos. So the 5D Mark II, 5D Mark III, and 5D Mark IV. That's really what this is going to be aimed for when we're looking at video purposes. The two where they clash is for the 6D Mark II. Even though the 6D Mark I think is better suited for this one. 6D Mark I can be on this one as well. But I probably would prefer this one if I was using something like a 6D Mark I would prefer the Topcine. Because if you don't have to worry about the articulating screen, it has more mounting points, or at least more spread out. This has a few extra that are doubled up, but this has more spread out. You have these on the side, and this one has ones on the side too, but I still like the profile better if this on the side. This is for you to access your ports, so the cage goes around where your ports are, which is nice because it's almost like added protection around your ports. It has this whole line coming down here. You have two cold shoe mounts, which is also pretty good. You have these little like brackets here, if you will, that, let me turn it around like this, that kind of hold your camera in place from moving forward. So if you lean it up against there while putting this, screwing this in, then it works. You are gonna need like a coin or something with that to do that, or a screwdriver, where this one actually comes with its own. You can see that right there. That little key piece comes off. That's actually a nice touch, and it's magnetized. That's actually a really nice touch. So this one right here can move back and forth. And I think the reason why is because this is supposed to cover several different body styles within the Canon lineup. So I think it just gives you a little leeway to kind of see which ones are going to press against this versus which ones that won't. Excuse me. Now, I've never tried a 5D series on this yet. I have one after the fact of already having this. And I'm pretty sure what will be the situation after I try it out is that when you push it up to those brackets there, it probably will be more further back here, where with the 6D Mark II, when I put it in, this was a little closer to there. Maybe not fully up there, but closer. So this is supposed to adjust to the size of the camera, giving you leeway to fit towards those brackets and then move back. And it sits in there solid because it doesn't really spin, because, I mean, you got this rubber piece here, which gives us some traction. And like I said, when you press it up against there, they fit pretty well. You have this for the battery compartment, obviously. So overall, I would say that if you're using like specifically the 6D Mark I would prefer this over this one, even though you could utilize this for the 6D Mark I is what they advertise. Now, jumping into this one, you got the cold shoe mount up here, and then you have the other cold shoe mount on the side. I'm not really a fan of that as much. Obviously, because they're trying to compress this size to fit the 6D series very tight, very smooth, like exactly the way it's got to be. They're gonna try to put it somewhere because it is a smaller mount. As you can see right here, it's not as wide. You have less surface area on the top, but it also contours to the body a little bit more. So that might be seen as a plus, just in terms of the smoothness of it and maybe fitting into your bag a little easier. It's not by that much, but you know, every little bit might count depending on how you're feeling. But nonetheless, like I said, if you are using the 6D Mark II, it's automatically going with this one, so it doesn't matter in terms of what's better. But anyway, just comparing the two, we got a couple of mounting holes here, a back row and a front row, which definitely, it's interesting in terms of knowing how those things would actually fit, because I don't know what would take a hole spot and then the double holes like that, but there might be other cameras that do that, because you can see that mounting point there as well like that. So that's interesting. I don't have any device that mounts like that. I'm gonna show a couple of my mounting devices that I have over here just to kind of like put them on and see how it works. But you got that row on this side, you got this row on this side too, and some of them with different sizes, like that's a bigger hole there, and then that one's a bigger one there, if those are ports that you need. One thing with this one right here is that this little piece right here, and it doesn't push inwards, there's a hole at the bottom of the 6D that goes into. So that holds, that's in place of those brackets on the other one, and that kind of holds it in place. And this screw here, it has a little bit of wiggle room, but not a lot, because it's really not meant to move around that much, because it's really aimed for just two different bodies, and those bodies might have a little bit of play in between them for the screw mount, but not a lot. This comes off by magnet. That's a magnet right there. So that's actually pretty nice. It's a pretty strong magnet too. So that's good. So one thing, I have these things that I purchased. They're from NiceyRig, and these should be a 1/4 inch screw connector. I will say this though, I bought these and they were pretty affordable. They're nice to have, but at the same time too, I would say they don't really work well for anything that has to be facing a specific direction. I say that to say that if you were to put this on here, and then you put, like, say something like a light on here, when you screw it around, eventually it may not be facing the way you want it to face. So just kind of be careful with that. You might have to have it a little bit loose to make sure it's facing the way you want it to. And in that case, it kind of becomes a little bit like all right, that thing could be spinning on here. Now, if you're mounting something that is completely circular, you don't have to worry about that. So for right here, this is a handle piece that can go underneath the camera, but it also has a hole on it so you can attach like this. Now, something like that, because it's completely circular, you obviously don't have to worry about it not facing the correct way, because it's just like that. And that could be used as a handle, but something like that is a good fit for these type of screws where their orientation doesn't matter as much in this case. Take this off here. This is actually not easy to come off now after the fact. All right, definitely be careful with something like this. I end up having to use a pair of pliers to actually get it off. So that's not the kind of thing you really want to be attaching on there if it's that tight. But anyway, you guys get the point that I was trying to reference with that. So like I said, this can go on to various points. I'm going to put it on the side here for right now. And this one as well can mount one of these also, but I'm going to put it on the side. And the reason why is because I'm going to add another piece right there to the front. So they both have that in different mounting points. Now this right here is a NiceyRig, also NiceyRig, that can attach on the side here. So I am going to put this on here just to show that you guys that it's able to attach without a problem. I have normally had this on the Topcine before, and it works very well. This is great here too. Obviously you might choose to put it on. This is also the side with the regular handle. So maybe you might want to have it on this side to have a counterbalance. But the problem is that all depends on if you are behind the rig versus you want to bring out the screen. If you're bringing out the articulating screen, obviously you don't want to have it on that side, and you can have it on this side just to enhance your grip. So it all depends on if you're going to be behind the camera versus in front of it, which is a totally different dynamic. And in that regards, this can work good like that. Now also keep in mind too, this, I'm just pointing out something now, the difference. So this right here, that little screw is always making it hard for me to make it sit down. So this right here can fit on this side there, which is nice. It's a little high, but still it's nice. And then it can fit either here. So it can't fit up in this one because then the bottom hole goes in that one, but you can go around that big hole and go here to the smaller ones. You can go here to the smaller ones. So, and you could do the same here. So you can make it go over those 3 big holes and align in 3 different stages, which is fine. And that's actually really good. This, on the other hand, does not afford you that option on this side. So be mindful of that. If you got a grip, you got to come here. And the reason why that's bad on this side is because you can't now lower that. So that's a problem in itself. Now, me owning both of these at this point now, I bought that one first, and this one's better for the 60 Mark II in regards to the flip out LCD screen. As I just mentioned to you now, if I'm using the screen, I'm not gonna have this on this side anyway. So in that case, I could just put this on this side. If I'm not using the screen, then in my case, owning both, I would just put the 60 Mark II on the Topcine. And then that way, if I'm not using the screen, I will probably put this on this side, because this will allow me to have the regular body handle where you can still get your hand around it over here, and then this one. And so now you can run around like that with both hands while you're doing your recording, because you're not going to be recording yourself. You are now the person behind the camera at all times. So that is something there. Actually, I am sorry, you guys. I just realized something. I'm sorry, because I always keep this into place where it worked for this cage, and I just realized I totally forgot. This is movable. This piece here is movable, and I forgot about that. So I'm sorry, you guys, that I didn't even realize that. Let me just flip it upside down just to show that, even though normally you would just lower it. Yes, so that fixes that problem right there. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm glad I was able to show that to you guys on camera. So this works on both sides. You just would have to adjust the height of this, which kind of would get annoying, to be honest with you, to always be adjusting it. But if you keep it on the lower end, then you would just obviously flip it on the lower end here as well, and it would be the same. I do kind of like when the handle part is coming across more at the top. I just feel like it's a little more balanced, but either way, because then if you're holding it by one arm, that weight is coming from here rather than when it's low here. I don't know. It doesn't really make a difference. It's just me aesthetically. I guess I just like it like that. So I realized that little counter measurement makes it where that's not a thing. So I'm going to use this right here. This comes with this small rig, but the next attachment I'm going to do is a small rig as well. And so I just want to show this on here. And I've showed it on this before in the past, so I'm not going to do both of them, but I am going to put it on this one just to show how this looks and how it mounts. This is like a NATO rail, I believe it's called. Link is going to be in the description for all these parts in both of these camera cages. Let's see how this thing fits, because I also so I'm not scratching anything up while I'm doing this. So already I'm running into a little bit of problem. This fit right here, I screwed it in and it screwed in pretty fine, and now taking it out, it's a little off balance. So let's see and make sure that everything is good here, because I don't want it to be too tight of a spin. Yeah, this one feels a lot more tighter. And I feel like this wasn't the case when it was on the Topcine before, but I don't know. Okay, so that one's screwed in fine. Let's see if I can get this one in without it being a problem. All right, it's starting to go in a lot easier now. Sometime I use this on I have a phone cage as well from Small Rig that I've reviewed on the channel before, and this is compatible with that as well. So slide this in like that. Or you could reverse it and make it spin the other way, just depending on how you want to do it. And then I'll try to line this up so it's in the center, and then spin for the lock. Am I going the right way? No. Okay, there we go. There we go, and it's locked in there. So just like that, if you want it that way, or if you want to kind of balance the center of gravity out a little more, you can take this off and go that way with it. sure that it's centered. Okay, and that makes it a little bit more better with center of gravity. It's still not gonna hold, but either way, you can mount it either way that you want, because you still got cold shoe mounts come on this side, but obviously there's not so much about this, but just wanted to show how this looks on here because I haven't mounted it on that as of yet. So you could go either way with it, but you can see that when you mount this on top of here, it takes up all the hole spots. So even though you do have 2 rows of holes, it's really just for variation, but not extra ports to kind of put on. Like I said, I have this one here on the side there, and we've got this spot over here. So that's really all you have to work with, where when this is on here, we'll line it up just so you can kind of see like where it lies in that position. Sorry for the focusing, you guys. Matter of fact, let me take this piece off here just so we can see where the base plate aligns with. So we're gonna take that off there. And then you could see how this would then align straight here. And you might have access to that hole there and that hole there. But you also have those, and you have those coming along the side and these. So it's a little bit more coverage. And you also have the 2 hot shoe mounts on the top, or this one's on the side. Now, granted, if you have a handle on top, you now have access to another cold shoe mount on top. I'm sorry if I said hot shoe mount, but cold shoe mount on top. So that really is the difference between these two, just comparing them. And as I said before, if you really are after a 60 Mark II, you're gonna go after this. If you're after any other type of camera, you can go after this. They're roughly the same price. I just want to do that comparison. Sorry that it's stretched out for a long time, but whichever one you feel works for you, definitely roll with it. They're very limited options at this point for cameras that are no longer really being made. So try to kind of just go with what you guys can, whatever works for you. But get them as soon as you can, because really don't, like they're really running out. You're running out of options, because once at a certain point they're going to stop making. This is the reason why I couldn't find something in small rig, because they stopped making them. A lot of these bigger companies stopped making them. Some of these third-party companies will, when I say third-party companies, I mean less popular companies, will start making to kind of continue that space. But for the most part, once they're gone, once a camera is too old, they're not going to see this anymore. It's the same way where you probably, and not that I've ever done a search for this, you probably wouldn't find a cage, obviously because they weren't doing video, but you probably wouldn't find a cage for an older film camera, you know, because those days are long gone. Same thing's going to be with digital SLRs at some point. It's still relatively fresh, where if I'm not mistaken, the last 5D series came out maybe 2019 or 2018. The 60 Mark II also was one of the last of its lines, came out in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So we are pushing almost 10 years of when the last ones came out, and they continued to be sold and produced after that time. But shortly after that, it just became all mirrorless. So just be mindful of that, you guys. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.